Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're going to get into Outlier AI. It's a name that's been absolutely buzzing across the internet, right? You've probably seen the ads, maybe heard people talking about it. This freelance platform, promising easy money, flexible work from home, just training AI models. But, well, the internet being the internet, it's totally split. Some say it's the best side hustle ever. Others are shouting it's a total scam.
Yep.
So we're here to try and cut through some of that noise for you.
Right. And that's exactly what we want to do in this deep dive, kind of move beyond those quick takes you see everywhere and really try to uncover the full picture here, from the initial promise to some of the starker realities people have reported after working with them. And it's important to know Outlier AI isn't just some small outfit. It's actually owned by Scale AI, which is, a major player, a real giant in the AI space. And the tasks they offer, they're pretty broad, reviewing AI answers, coding problems, and this is key, a fair bit of content moderation too.
Okay, that Scale AI link is really interesting. So this isn't just about one platform. It taps on the practices of a really big company, one that's like deeply involved in how AI is actually built. And you mentioned content moderation. That sounds, well, it sounds kind of straightforward on the surface. But based on what we've looked at, why is that task becoming such a big and frankly kind of troubling part of the Outlier story?
Well, it seems it's often really misaligned with what people expect when they sign up. What's really insightful, I think, is seeing how even this super advanced AI from huge companies like Scale AI still depends so much on this ghost work by contract laborers. Initially, Outlier paints a pretty appealing picture, doesn't it? Like 15 to 50 bucks an hour, flexible, remote. And look, to be fair, when they do pay, some contractors, especially those maybe with strong math or coding skills, they do report hitting that $50 mark, or maybe up to $40 for visual design tasks. So yeah, there are definitely people who seem to make good money and, enjoy the challenge.
Okay. I mean, $50 an hour remotely, that sounds fantastic for a lot of people looking for that flexibility. But I feel a significant but coming here. What happens when, things aren't so great? Because the internet is also just full of some really disturbing stories.
That's right. And this is where we get into the darker side, the more troubling truth.
Yeah.
What's concerning are these horror stories that seem, well, far too common. They paint a very different picture about the platform's, let's say, ethical labor practices. We're talking about widespread payment problems, really harrowing accounts of people working for weeks on complex stuff, seeing the money rack up,
Yeah.
and then suddenly their account's locked.
Yeah.
Thousands in unpaid invoices just gone. It's not just, a late payment. It feels more like wage theft, leaving people totally stuck and with nowhere to turn.
Wow, thousands just vanishing. That's not just annoying, that's potentially devastating for freelancers. Now, some might say, well, freelancing always has risks, right? Gig platforms can be unstable, but how does this go beyond those typical freelance challenges, especially with a company tied to a giant, like, Scale AI?
I think it's the scale of it and the complete lack of communication or any real resolution path that seems to set it apart. It feels systemic, not just isolated cases. And then there's the other huge issue, something the YouTube channel Savage Reviews really brought to light vividly, which is the just profoundly disturbing nature of the content some people are asked to review. Imagine signing up thinking you'll be, I don't know, correcting grammar or maybe refining some code, only to find yourself wading through, well, absolutely horrific content. Really graphic violence, self-harm, child abuse material, extremist stuff, all supposedly to train AI safety models. But crucially, often without proper warning, without decent psychological support, or even a clear heads up about the emotional toll involved.
That is a massive and potentially traumatic bait and switch.
Oh.
It really pulls back the curtain on the hidden human cost of making AI safe, doesn't it?
It really does, exactly. This invisible work, often done by people who might be quite vulnerable, is essential for AI development. There's actually a class action lawsuit happening right now, precisely because contractors are reporting severe psychological trauma from doing this work. It's just a stark, shocking contrast to the picture painted initially, remote AI training. And there are multiple lawsuits, apparently. Not just for the wage issues, but specifically citing psychological harm. It really highlights this deeply concerning situation where the people meant to be making AI safer are themselves being put in harm's way.
Okay, so putting this all together, for you listening out there, maybe someone who's seen those ads or is considering a platform like Outlier AI, what's the main takeaway here? What's the core message?
I think the core message has to be one of extreme caution, really. While that promise of easy, well-paid remote work, especially with those high hourly rates, is super tempting, the reality for, it seems, far too many people involves this brutal mix potentially unpaid invoices, serious risk of psychological trauma from horrific content exposure, and basically zero support when things go wrong. It's a really stark reminder that the sort of invisible human engine powering AI carries these significant, often unacknowledged risks.
Yeah. And there are definitely other freelance platforms that, probably won't potentially steal your wages or risk your mental health quite so directly. This whole situation really makes you think about the bigger picture, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And maybe this raises an important question for all of us to think about. As these AI systems rely more and more on human input for training, for safety, how do we actually ensure ethical labor practices are in place? How do we protect the mental well-being of the people who are quite literally shaping our technological future? Definitely something to consider as AI keeps evolving.